the sun is high, we're feeling good. In Miami where the spirit's understood. With Bobby Finstock leading the crew, we're gonna show you what these Dolphins do. Fans up high, the crowd's roaring loud. In the city with the blue and aqua proud. Finstock's here with the play-by-play. We're getting ready, it's game day. Are you ready for some football? Miami Dolphins standing tall. Are you ready for some football? Showtime at the Hard Rock, y'all. From the tailgate to the field of green, with the best fans you ever seen. Bobby's got the scoop, hot off the press. In Miami, we roar to impress. Play up stats and pregame chat.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Miami Dolphins pregame show here on FTSN. I'm Bobby Finstock, usually joined by Finstanza, but totally blew my mind, or totally went past my mind that he's actually off today. He's actually on vacation with his family. So for right now, I am flying solo, but that's okay. The Dolphins play at 3:25 today, so we may keep it just a short show since it is the holiday season. But I hope everyone is having a great Sunday so far as the 6-8 Miami Dolphins take on the 6-8 San Francisco 49ers. Miami's hopes of a playoff still remain despite being 6-8. It got harder yesterday with the win by Baltimore. Right now, currently, for Miami to make the playoffs, for Dolphin fans that still care, you should. The Dolphins need to beat the 49ers. This is to keep it alive. For Miami's playoff hopes stay alive, Miami has to beat the 49ers. The Titans have to beat the Colts. And the Browns have to beat the Bengals. So, another year, another season, another prayer that Miami has to rely on someone else in order to get into the playoffs while still having to do their job and win out, which it finds hard to do. But they might catch a break today because they are facing a 49ers team who, like Miami, is struggling to win games and hampered with injuries. Christian McCaffrey, Wilson, all out today for the Niners. I think the Niners are like on their fifth running back. Isaac Guerrero is out today as well. That's catching a break for the Dolphins. Trent Williams is out, their star left tackle. Nick Bosa, Greenlaw, their linebacker, and right end, defensive end, Robert Beal Jr., also questionable. All three of those guys are questionable. So that's something Miami could look forward to. I understand especially for some Miami fans who might be on the end of just, it's all over. It's the end of the world here. This is a game Miami could win. Earlier in the season, before the season, this was a game that a lot of people, even the highest Dolphin fans, the ones highest on the team, will look at this game and go, this is something to be concerned about. This gives you some cause to pause. But as the season plays out, despite Miami's struggles, this is a game that Miami fans now should probably feel good about in regards of winning or losing. The last 5 games for the 49ers, they're averaging about 16 points per game. They've lost to Seattle 20-17. They've lost to Green Bay 38-10, 35-10 to Buffalo, 38-13 victory over Chicago, and then lost 12-6 against the LA Rams back on the 12th of December, where Miami has been 3-2 in their last 5 games. 49ers are 1-4. Dolphins 3-2. They've beaten the Rams and the Patriots 34-19, 34-15. Lost to the Green Bay Packers 30-17, beat the Jets in overtime 32-26, and then lost a 20-12 against Houston, which we're, are not unfamiliar with. It sounds like a closer game, but we all know it wasn't. The offense struggled. Tua had probably his worst game. It was his worst game of the season. It was one of the worst games of his career. I don't think that's a secret for anybody. I think this is an opportunity, this game today, for Tua to at least get back on his right foot against a Niners defense that is hampered with injuries. Still, though, a Niners defense that's coached very well and is no joke for sure. I want to pull up the rankings very quick on the 49ers and Dolphins, see where they stand currently on the season. And for whatever reason, my mouse is not working too good right now, but that's okay. We'll try to survive. Seems like it wants to click the first time, but the second time it stops clicking. So the 49ers offense currently is ranked 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8th in the NFL. In spite of only averaging 16 points a game throughout the season, they're averaging 22 points a game, where Miami's offense is 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, about 21, 22 on there. And the defense is San Francisco is the third best defense in football, where Miami is the sixth best defense. Dolphins giving up about 22 points a game. Niners about 23 points a game. So it's a pretty equal footing for Miami and San Francisco. Who's this babyface Bobby? Dude, the Dolphins have stressed me out so much, and the Heat yesterday, my poor son, that my beard fell off. My beard has fallen off. And yeah, so we'll, should grow back in a week. I actually shaved it 2 days ago, and it's already roughed up, but kids love it. Wife doesn't have no issues with it. She likes beard. She actually went like, whoa, when I walked out of the room, which was funny. I was like, oh crap, it looks bad. And she liked it. So it's all good, man. It's all good. Let's see here. Fix this up a little bit. Trying to do stuff solo is a little different for me. I start noticing all these other things because I'm a little bigger up to the screen. But DSG Label, I appreciate you tuning in and jumping on, brother. So, the Dolphins don't, obviously this season, and with all the concerns that we have on this team, obviously no game really sometimes should give anybody confidence because, any given Sunday, but a game that looks as winnable as today does for Miami, what Miami does best this season is beat themselves. They allow teams to linger. And you look at this 49ers football team, I mean, you look at the last 5 games, and there is no reason why Miami, especially with the injuries that the Niners have right now, for Miami not to have a good game and not to come out with a victory here to move on to 7-8 and keep their very slim playoff hopes alive. However, what hurts Miami the most is not the injuries, is not the offensive line malpractice done by Chris Greer, but is that they beat themselves. I mean, that was evident last week. Houston Texans gave Miami every opportunity to win that game. And for Miami with the play of first off, the play calling, questionable play calling. I mean, the little effort by the Stars, the play of Tua Tagovailoa, it just was abysmal. And that's what Miami does best. And when they lose games is they love to beat themselves, and that's why I was never critical of Miami beating any team, bad teams, when it comes to penalty. Oh, well, this team was bad because they gave up a lot of penalties. And if it wasn't for that bad throw, that bad interception, that's what good teams are supposed to do. You're supposed to take advantage of those bad teams and when they do stuff like that. And that's what Houston did last week to Miami. They took advantage of Miami's errors and bad play, and they won that football game because they gave every opportunity for Miami to win that game, and Miami just didn't want it. And so now Miami continues to be hopeful that on other teams to get into the playoffs. And of course, they need to do their job today. In regards of injuries for Miami, we're waiting for that final inactives report. Tyreek Hill is slated to play per Adam Schefter. Of course, Tyreek Hill had that was a part of that game winning for Houston last week, that interception where he could have, yes, it was an underthrown ball, there's no doubt, no question about it. That was not a good throw by Tua, but it was in Tyreek's hands, and the Dolphins paid Tyreek to come down with those type of footballs. The problem is Tyreek is not that type of receiver. That's why I do believe Miami needs to go get a big body receiver for sure. First off, Cat for Life, good morning, brother. Great to see you. Raphael, thank you always for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I freaking hate this rumor of cutting Calais Campbell to sign with a contender to Lions. Dude, that's just our reality, Ralph. To be honest with you, that's just our reality as Dolphins. Miami put themselves in this position. I have no hate whatsoever for Calais Campbell, and I have no ill will towards him if he wants to ask Miami to get cut to go sign with a contender. He absolutely deserves that. He's played so damn well for Miami this year. I'd hate to lose him for sure, especially if he looks to play another year. I would love to have him back in Miami. However, he wants to win, dude, and he deserves every opportunity to do so. So if Miami loses this game and they're officially eliminated, they should cut him. They should do right by him, you know. And I hate it because I would love for him to come back, you know, for a fresh season next year, and hopefully Miami would have their, you know, ducks in a row. But if he leaves, it sucks, but I get it. I get it. So and dude, let me tell you, there are some dudes in this draft at D tackle that, my goodness, you put him next to, we got a studded Zach Sealer, and I know I love Calais Campbell, and I'm cool with him coming back 1,000%. Would not argue it, would not hate it if he stayed throughout the season. He's like, no, I want to finish in Miami, I want to come back next season. I'm all for it. But if he leaves, there are some studs at defensive line here coming into the draft. I'm watching draft stuff, especially right now, and it's not, we're like, oh, because it's, well, it is for Miami, really. I mean, but just to be ahead of the game and you know, just following up on some of these guys, the kids out of Michigan, those dudes are studs, man. You pair them, any one of those guys with Zach Sealer, goodness gracious. So I get it, but don't sleep on those kids, man. I know who's drafting them. I get it, but yeah, don't sleep on those. So Tyreek Hill is projected to play. Miami's final injury report: Jalen Waddle is doubtful. Terran Armstead is questionable. Easy E has been he's projected to play today. He's been evaluated or moved up, elevated. Where Bradley Chubb, even though his window is open, he is not projected to return or to play. And honest to goodness, you know, do you really want him to play right now? You know, if you're thinking about keeping him for next season, if Miami is with current management of the Dolphins, if they think, hey, okay, we want him back next year, we're not going to move him. You know, we want to see what a Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson type of deal, what it could look like for next year. If that's your plan, and Miami is 6-8, possibly go 6-9, 6-10, 7-9, 7-8, excuse me, whatever. If that's the plan, why waste them? Why bring them in for a losing effort here? You know, let him rest, let him get a full 100%, have him, Phillips, Chop Robinson be fresh next year and come out. Calais is a man, wish the rest of the team would man up for sure. Well, Calais Campbell, dude, that dude, you know, there's no soft talk with him. We know what he's all about, you know, and so I loved when we signed him. I've loved everything about him. His first impact, game one, everything he's done. It sucks that Miami could not have lived up to their end of the bargain to be a competitive football team this season. I understand injuries happen, and that's something with Miami. I mean, but all teams go through injuries. Miami's issues, they don't prepare for them. You know, you come into the season with Skylar Thompson as your backup quarterback with Tim Boyle, and you have to go get a guy off the street. Yeah. So I know injuries are used as an excuse, but with Miami, I don't use them as an excuse because Miami is not prepared for them. Other teams have injuries all the time. They got a next man up mentality. Miami does not. Miami does not. So we'll continue to wait for, I know Cameron Wood has come off IR. Uzukanma is going to play, or he's been elevated for today's game. So he will be, we might see him on the field during this football game, especially with Jalen Waddle being doubtful to play. Let's see. Okay, good. My mouse is giving me issues. Everything is just off today, but that's okay. Let's see here. I want to make sure. Not want to miss anything. And it might be a little, we might not get the inactives today just because of the Dolphins playing at 3:25. But we keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Give us a good GM and head coach, and we will win. Richard is preaching to the choir, brother. You know, I'll say it again. We all get the quarterback talk. I understand it. I won't argue against it really. I will say though, people say, "Oh, trade Tua and bring in Cam Ward, or trade Tua and go get this guy." And I'll ask you, okay, who's your GM and your coach? Is it still Coach McDaniel and Chris Greer? Is it Chris Greer? If that's the case, you're going to have the same Miami issue. How many star players have we had on and off of this team, and it's still the same result? It starts with the foundation of the team. And the foundation, the one who puts down the bricks to build the foundation for the Dolphins, is Chris Greer. He's the architect, and Miami's, that's why the team is so damn unstable. That's why we have another coach every 3 years. We haven't had another rebuild in 3 years. Miami has not had a rebuild in 3 years. Chris Greer's been the GM since what, 2016? So that's why the team's so destabilized and the way it is. Mike McDaniel is a 26-22 and 0-2 in the playoffs. Mike McDaniel got a loaded team, not a rebuilding team. Mike McDaniel, if he came on a rebuilding team, it'd be a different conversation. He didn't. And I don't really blame him for that, because that's what he came in on. He came in here to salvage Tua's career. He probably came in as a scapegoat because of everything that happened with Flores, and no one else wanted to be here. So let's bring him on for another year and see how it goes. But he survived. I mean, he brought the best out of Tua in regards of confidence. But the fact of the matter is, he could have, if he would have just came in here and Miami didn't have a Tyreek Hill and a Jalen Ramsey and a Bradley Chubb and all that whatnot, he might have a little more fans might have a little more patience with him. But the problem is when he came on board, they brought in Tyreek Hill. That automated made you one of the Super Bowl contenders in the eyes of NFL fans around the world, especially in the media. And 8-3, 2 years in a row, and then totally falling off and falling into the playoffs and then getting bounced in the first round. And then now, you go into the third year with this team, a third year where people say it's usually the third year where you get to see what your team truly is. And you totally fall off the wagon. You're ill prepared for a backup. You don't know how to game plan. You've degressed in the eyes of the fans in regards to play calling. How many coaches did the Dolphins interview? I don't have that in front of me. I do know that Mike McDaniel was the Dolphins were the only team that interviewed Coach McDaniel for the head coaching spot. No other team did. I thought, wasn't it Vance Joseph interviewed? I'm trying to remember the other guys. Kellen Moore was another guy that they've interviewed there at that time. Kellen Moore, Vance Joseph. Trying to think. I don't know. I will say though, I am not against moving on, obviously, from Chris Greer. And if Stephen Ross wants to stick with Mike McDaniel, as much as I would hate that because he's basically doing the same thing of rinse and repeat, I would hope that he would leave it to the new general manager to decide if Mike McDaniel should stay on the job. If he doesn't want to fire Mike McDaniel, leave that up to the new GM or just clean house. And I named a few coaches on what show was I on? Oh, 305 Sports with Will Patrone. We discussed, because everybody always asks, if we get rid of our GM, who's a guy that you want? And if you want to get rid of the head coach, who's the guy that you want? And I get it, because you're like, who's better out there? If I could find it, I'll tell you guys some of the names here that I put down. So that way we all know. Our GM, this is from Raphael, our GM drafted 61 players since 2016. 22 currently on roster, 21 are not even on the roster. Only 4 Pro Bowlers, poor talent evaluator. I am not arguing with you. You give flowers where flowers are due. The players that have been drafted that have done well, that's awesome. But it's few and far between, because it's not just about starters. You got to get guys who could come off the bench and step in and play well. Miami does not have that. They don't have those type of guys. A lot of the guys that do that are veterans. And, again, the malpractice of the offensive line is way out there. Possible GM replacements for Miami that I discussed. Guys, there's several. So for me, and these are just names off what I've done. Obviously, there could be more names out there, and I'm totally on board with discussing them. But when we talked about Scotty, what's up, my man? Oh, yes. Thank you. This kid on screen, yes. I shaved. The Dolphins and the Heat, just everything. I just lost my beard. It totally fell off. I'm just lucky this hasn't fallen off yet, but this isn't. No. Thought I'd do a fresh look. Kids always ask me to shave, and so I did it. And I just love their reactions when I do it. But dude, in a week, this will be back. You know how it is. You've seen me enough. But some of the names that I will want to say out there, just because that way that they're out there, because I've heard this over and over again, and I did discuss this with on 305 Sports. Some of the names for GM, if it was to come down to that, a lot of time we all talk about physical, and I'm talking about the foundation of the football team. You could blame the quarterback, you could look at the head coach, and usually the head coach is a part of that, and I get it, and I'm not against that. But the foundation of this team is again the general manager or the vice president of football operations. But we don't have that. We have a general manager, and that's Chris Greer. He's the one who lays the bricks down on the team, and that's why the team's always like this every freaking season. So you got to start from the very top. And when I think about who I would want on this team, I got to look, especially at, you could go rookie head coach, you could go veteran head coach, but you got to look at a general manager. When you're looking at a general, there you go, Will McClay as a candidate. Let me pull that up for we could talk Will McClay, and I'll bring up some of the names that I wrote down, Scotty, and I appreciate Scotty coming in always. But let's see. Oh, I actually talked about him, Scotty, from the Cowboys, and I said this on 305 Sports. He was a wild card. I didn't have his name on the list, but I said, a guy that I like is Will McClay, because even though everybody looks at the Cowboys and they go, oh, well, Jerry Jones is a GM, blah, blah, blah. But reality is that even though he is the GM, the guy who brings the talent over to show Jerry Jones is Will McClay. And as the laughingstock as Dallas is, and it starts with Jerry Jones, you can't question the talent they've made and the priorities they have in store for that team. That offensive line, what they've done on that offensive line with Zach Martin and even Connor Williams before that, and Tyron Smith. I mean, you think of exactly quarterbacks, linebacker. I mean, he's a great evaluator. And the Cowboys, the last time even a team thought about interviewing Will McClay, the Cowboys gave him a raise. And so that tells you how important he is to that organization. I would not be against that at all, no matter who's your coach. I think that's a great name. I love the talent on the Cowboys. I don't blame him for the Cowboys on-field play. That falls on your coach. That falls on Jerry Jones. The star is a heavy burden to wear. But him with a new squad, I do not hate that name. Scotty coming in the clutch with that, Scotty. And Scotty, please bring him up as much as possible throughout shows. That way I could always remember. I'll write his name after. I did talk about him. I'm so glad you threw him in there. So here are some of the names. And for me, and because I'm thinking about the what type of team I would love for Miami to be. And obviously the foundation has to be very important. That comes from the front of the team to the back of the team, starters, backups, front of the line, offensive line, defensive line, the trenches. That's the good foundation. That's a support team. So I want to look at teams that, first off, have a foundation of winning, that know how to win and know how to build the trenches and know how to have a physical defense, know how to build a team around a quarterback. And I'll start with a team like the Baltimore Ravens. Joe Hortitz, director of player personnel. He's been there for 25 years. He's worked with Ozzie Newsome. He's working with DaCosta. He works with all those guys. He knows what it's like to build a team from the ground up, foundational, and keep it winning. Even when Ravens have bad years, they have solid players. They are always consistently in the conversation of a playoff team. And I don't know why my green screen is acting up there. Forgive me, guys, for the little thing there. It's bothering the hell out of me. But another guy looking at, talk about just a team that consistently wins and has been competitive. This guy's been around for 15 years with his team. is the assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mike Barganzi. This is another guy I think would be a good fit, or be a guy I would be happy with building the Dolphins or rebuilding Miami in regards of the roster. Talk about Baltimore Ravens, move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been with Pittsburgh since '98 as a scout, and then was promoted in 22 as assistant GM. Andy Weidel is another guy. I mean, look at Pittsburgh. They got Russell Wilson, who busted in Denver. Justin Fields. They know what it is to go get a backup quarterback. Oh, we already have a starter. Who gives a damn? Go get another guy. They have it. They win. Their defense is no joke. They've built that defense. They've built that team. They play no games. Obviously, Mike Tomlin has a lot to do with that as well. But this guy knows what it takes to be with a no-nonsense coach, with a no-nonsense team, and a physical team. Nobody could accuse the Ravens or the Steelers of being not physical, or the KC Chiefs. I would be down for that. Two other names: Ed Dodds from the Colts. He spent 10 years with Seattle before going to Indianapolis. He's the assistant GM. And then Ian Cunningham is a name that I think is like kind of like under the radar. He's the assistant GM of Chicago, but he was a scout with the Baltimore Ravens 2013, and then he worked in the front office with Philly under Howie Roseman. So those are guys that are names that jump out to me, and especially Will McClay. You know Miami's going to run it back. Yeah, you can't sleep that Miami's going to run it back. You know how these guys are. But there are reports. When there's smoke, there's fire. There are reports coming out that if the Dolphins get eliminated, don't sleep on changes being made. And I know an NFL insider was saying that even Mike McDaniel could be bounced. But if it's Mike McDaniel, let's say this. Mike McDaniel gets bounced and Chris Greer stays, fans should be livid, because then you're really rinse and repeating. Now, if both get kicked out, then Miami's doing something different. Now you're starting fresh. If they keep McDaniel and fire Greer, be patient. Let's see how this plays out. If it's Stephen Ross saying, okay, I'm hiring a new GM, and we're going to leave it up to the new GM to keep McDaniel, and then McDaniel. And he decides McDaniel stays, then that's on him, and then I'm cool with it. But yeah, Ray Agnew from the Lions. Sorry, I'm running around. Not sure if you named it. I did not, but thank you. That's great. Potential head coaches, very quick, because if Mike McDaniel gets bounced, okay. These are the guys that I brought up. And Scotty, man, you just brought up the Lions, and there are two names on here. But first off, we all know Mike Vrabel's a guy. I've talked about him a lot. I get it. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN said that he might have he might have already plans to go to a team, and that could be Chicago. But Mike Vrabel's still going to be on my list. I'm very into veteran coaches, but I understand that's not how the NFL sometimes works. Mike Vrabel falls under that tree. I would hate to have another rookie coach, but it depends on who this rookie coach is and where he's coming from. I would love if it's a rookie coach, to be a full, be a former player. So Ben Johnson is on this list. I did put Ben Johnson just because, first off, he's the hot candidate for NFL teams, right? Whatever team he's going to, he's going to pick. And if Agnew is your GM, that gives you an inside track on Ben Johnson as possible head coach. The only thing I'm against with Ben Johnson is he wants to call plays. He said that. He goes, if the head coach, I'm calling my plays. Now, that's what Mike McDaniel does, and that's what pisses off a lot of fans right now. However, I will say this. There's a difference between Ben Johnson and Mike McDaniel. Ben Johnson actually is a lot of experience calling plays. Look what he's done in Detroit with the talent that he's had. That I get. Where Mike McDaniel wasn't calling plays in San Francisco. He was the run game coordinator, and he was I believe he was OC for 1 year, but Kyle Shanahan called the plays. And I think Mike McDaniel is a very good play designer. But he's fallen off. He is not a good play caller. So that's why I'm against him continuing to call plays. But I think Ben Johnson would be I would let that point go. I would be okay. Let him run it. Let him run it. So let me see if I fix this because damn dude, that annoys the hell out of me, but it is all right. But Ben Johnson's a good name. I get it. Aaron Glenn is another. Scotty and company. The offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Anybody on the Detroit Lions team in regards of on their staff, I'm not going to hate. Defense coordinator Aaron Glenn, former NFL defensive back. He's covering the 14th best defense, but that really doesn't matter. I'm caring about the man. I'm caring about, you go, oh, but he's got the 14th best defense. Jim Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator. I don't know what Mike Tomlin's defense was, but we know those guys know how to coach men, and they're not afraid to get in a guy's face and call him out and get the best out of the player. I'm not saying he doesn't have to be a badass. He doesn't have to be someone who's rude and all that. No. But they could call the guy out, and I think Aaron Glenn is that guy. Aaron Glenn knows what it is to be under the pads. He knows what it is to be in the locker room. He knows what it is to lead men, and I think Aaron Glenn would be a great name to consider if that was to go down. So an Agnew and a Aaron Glenn, okay. Or an Aaron Glenn and a Joe Hortitz or Mike Bergonzi or Randy Riddle. I'm good with that. Terrell Austin is another one, defense coordinator, Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the other one would be a name that is a former veteran, a former head coach. And I know people go, oh, but he failed as a head coach. Well, a lot of these former head coaches are failures. You're not getting a Joe Gibbs or Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace. Andy Reid is not available. None of those guys are available. Mike Vrabel, even as I talk about Mike Vrabel, even though he brought the team to the AFC Championship and did a great job, he failed at the end last season, got bounced. So a lot of these coaches, former head coaches, are failures. But a name that I think, especially if you bring in a Mike Bergonzi from Kansas City, Steve Spagnuolo is a name not to sleep on. The job he's done in Kansas City with that defense is when you think of Kansas City, you think of that offense. Pat Mahomes, Pacheco, Worthy, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. But it's the defense that's kept that team in it. It's the defense that helped them win the Super Bowl last year. And Spagnuolo has done one hell of a job there. And working under Andy Reid, I think, will speak volumes. Yeah, thank you, Scotty. So Scotty's right here. Well, Spags is a discussion all to himself. I would definitely take Spags. 100%, dude. I know some people, when I brought him up on 305 Sports, oh, but he failed as a coach in LA, or excuse me, St. Louis. He wouldn't be available. He wouldn't be where he is right now if he was a success. But this is a guy he was a head coach. He's been there. He's done that. He failed. So you would expect him when he comes to another team, and if he takes over another team, to learn from those mistakes. And when he learned under one of the great coaches in the NFL and NFL history in Andy Reid, to bring those traditions or whatever he's learned into a new job. And so if you were to bring someone like a Bergonzi from Kansas City and bring in a Spagnuolo, that's a different beast. I'm not against that. So sorry, sir. I didn't see your last comment. Bobby, I struggle with defense head coach over offensive. Deep down, I think it needs to be offense with a strong DC. That's okay. Everybody has their prerogatives. I'm not against. First off, my thing is this: whether you're an offensive head coach or a defensive head coach, I think what's more important is that's why I'm against play calling. If you're one of the guys, because unless you're an Andy Reid who does it well, maybe Ben Johnson is that guy. There are some coaches that call good plays when they're called, but I want a guy. If you're a head coach, you're a head coach. Delegate. You're the OC, you're calling plays. I'll help you design them. If you're DC, you're calling those plays. I don't want a guy to come in here and go, okay, even though I'm the head coach, I'm still going to call defensive plays. You're not really paying attention then, because one of the critiques, Steve Malloy, host of Real Talk Finstock, he was on 305 Sports, and he attended the Houston Texans game, and he was saying when Miami's defense was on the field or during the breaks, Mike McDaniel wasn't paying attention to that at all. He was paying attention to his playbook, trying to figure out the next series for Miami. And, that's a problem. We had that with Adam Gase, and I'm not saying one is the same. but to me, that's what bothers me with coaches calling plays. I would rather have it where, well, and I believe last time I checked, 2 of the 3 head coaches call plays. So if not, and that could be true. That could be true. But 2 out of the 3 coaches get fired too. And I don't know, I know Andy Reid calls plays. I think that's why Eric Bieniemy, as much as people wanted to push him to get a job, never did. And he had to go somewhere else. I really don't know where he is or what he's doing right now. But I don't think Mike Tomlin calls plays or John Harbaugh. I don't know about Jim. No, Jim, right? John Harbaugh's the Ravens. I don't think they call plays. So, or Vrabel when he was coaching, and it really just depends. Again, it depends on the coach. So, I'm not against Ben Johnson. Scotty's awesome, man. Scotty's the numbers dude, man. I just love the numbers that come in from him. And it keeps me in check too, because he brings the numbers and it's hard to argue against that. But you still argue with it. You can still go back and forth with it, but I appreciate Scotty, man. I really do, brother. Let's see if there's any news on the and it's a shorter show today, guys. I was running a little late and Evan reminded me that he was not on today just because he's out of town. He does his yearly vacation, going traveling. So let me see. I don't see anything yet. This is from Barry Jackson. Though the Dolphins will remain alive through mid-afternoon, regardless or irregardless, root for Mason Rudolph's Titans to beat Indianapolis in early window. If that happens, all Miami needs to do to make the playoffs is winning out and either 2 Chargers loss or 2 Denver's loss. Easy peasy. Obviously, there's some sarcasm there. Andrew Harris in the house. Up, fins up. Chris Greer, fire job GM. I get it. Richard Keys. Give me a head coach who doesn't think of practice as being a walkthrough, stretching, and listening to music. Everybody has their way, and I get it. It doesn't equate to winning, so we got to change it. Scotty, I believe Pittsburgh is the only team that practices tackling to the ground throughout the season. I would love that in Miami. Hell yeah. Dude, Tomlin is the guy, and that's why, in Austin, I wouldn't be against bring that mindset to the Dolphins. But guys, that's a conversation for the end of the season, or maybe after this game. If Miami loses and Stephen Ross is, I'm blowing this up, then we're gonna have a lot of fun because we have a lot of names. And I know some are against a full rebuild, but I know that we have the guys on the network and guys on the comments like Scotty and so forth that if that was to go down, the numbers, the names, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. I will say, Scotty, though, brother, I'm starting to watch film. I'm starting to, it's the early round, in regards of now, they watch film, starting to get really into, college players here getting ready for on the clock. And my goodness, dude, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. So I prefer a retool, but if it's a rebuild, we have a lot of for sure. I know you do for sure, Scotty. That's I know what your preference is, but I know that if it came down to that, we're gonna be blasting off with stuff, dude. And I know you're in the comments. You're gonna have names coming out of nowhere, like McClay and Agnew, dude. Like those are names they're great names. Get rid of the non-hackers. There's a lot of players and staff members that would have to bounce, but let me go ahead and pull this up here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. So nothing there. That's okay. We'll wait, continue to wait. We do know that Jalen Waddle is doubtful. Armstead is questionable. So Miami could be without them. Pull this here. And that's the other thing. When Kirk Cousins is out, it looks like in Atlanta, he'll be bounced. I know that has nothing to do with Miami, but I saw that the other day. I was like, whoa, interesting. And then on the Niners, the Falcons don't look as bad for going and getting their Penix. That's why it's not bad. You got your starter and you go draft Michael Penix. Your starter bounces out or they're going to move on. You already have a guy set it. You just have to eat the cat. Let me run through this here, and then we'll get into our final predictions. And I know I'm running it solo, guys. Forgive me if I do a lot of ums and e's and ahs, I don't usually do it solo. I don't mind solo. I appreciate you guys all in the comments because it keeps me fresh. I feel good, but forgive me if it's not the best show. All right, so for week 16, currently the Kansas City Chiefs have the number 1 seed at 14-1. They keep finding ways to win. I know there's a lot of controversy there. The Buffalo Bills, 11-3, are at the 2nd seed. Pittsburgh at the 3rd seed. Houston, the 4th seed. Baltimore 5, Chargers 6, Denver 7. Where in the NFC, Detroit is at number 1 at 12-2. 12-2, the Philadelphia Eagles are at 2. Tampa Bay's 3. LA Rams 4. Minnesota 5 at 12-2. That is freaking crazy. Green Bay is 10-4 at 6th seed, and Washington 9-5. So the Chargers beat the Denver Broncos, and the Chiefs defeated the Houston Texans. And the Ravens defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's already gone down. Oh, dude, I know it. Kirk Cousins he'll be linked to Miami, especially among the fans. He's going to get paid a lot of money, right? Because he gets cut. Wouldn't he still get paid, Scotty? So he would be cheap. And the only reason why I'm saying that is I'm not saying, oh, put him over 2 or nothing of that nature. What I'm saying is if we want to pump the backup type of thing, which we all know he wants a starting job, and he'll get it. But I wonder what his pay would be like. Would this be like a Russell Wilson type situation for any team? So let's go through this, guys. So first off, you got the LA Rams taking on the New York Jets in New York. The Rams are 8-6. The Jets are 4-10. Jets are 2-4 at home, where Rams are 4-3 on the road. I'm going with the Rams. Screw the Jets. Sorry, Russ. He knows I don't like him. He knows I hate him. You got the Philadelphia Eagles at 12-2 traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders. Commanders are 5-2 at home, 9-5 in the season, where the 12-2 Eagles are 6-1 on the road. This is going to be a interesting, hard-hitting divisional game. It's going to be fun. Damn, it's a tough question to ask, but I'm going to roll with my current pick for MVP, and I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley. I'm going with the Eagles over the Commanders. Okay, well, they'll cut him right before the new season starts, but not during the season. Okay, he had a ton guarantee, but I'm sure he'll look for another day. Yeah, absolutely, and he will get that, because we could make jokes all day, but Kirk Cousins is one of those guys who, when he comes in, you got your guy, you have your bridge, and you got your bridge quarterback, and you're kind of set, and he's not going to be terrible. Just didn't work out in Atlanta. So he'll go to some team, whatever team needs a quarterback right away. We know the Raiders are probably going to draft Shadir Sanders or Cam Ward, the Giants as well. So I don't see that. So one of these teams that don't have a guy in place, or they're unstable, maybe the Titans. But anyway, talk about Atlanta. You got the Giants at Atlanta with Michael Penix starting. Atlanta's 7-7, taking on the 2-12 Giants. Giants seem like they really want that Cam Ward pick or the Shadir Sanders pick. They are 2-4 on the road. I think the Falcons will win that. We'll give Penix his first win. You got the Arizona Cardinals at Carolina. Carolina's been showing some life, even though they're 3-11, but I got the Cardinals winning that one. Bengals taking on the Browns. The Bengals beat the Browns there. That should be a hard-hitting game. But they're 1-5. Yeah. They're 1-5 at home, Cincinnati. They do not like winning at home, but Cleveland does not like winning on the road. They're 1-6. And Darian Robinson, Thompson, I forgot how to say his name, but he's starting for Cleveland. So I'm going to roll with the Bengals. And then you got the Tennessee Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. This is an important game for Miami. Miami needs Tennessee to win this game. Colts are 3-3 at home. Tennessee Titans are 2-5 on the road. They have the second-ranked defense in football currently throughout the season. We know that's different throughout, because even though, but You know, the Titans are one of those teams that just love to upset. You know, I'm not going to sleep on that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with the Colts. The Titans are so freaking bad, dude. They're so bad. I know they just benched Will Levis too. They're looking to get a new starter. They're going to get rid of him. You got Detroit at Chicago, rolling with Detroit. You got Seattle at 8-6, taking on the 12-2 Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are 5-1 on the road, and the Seahawks are 3-5 at home. I'm going to roll with the Vikings here. This is the game that Scotty's bringing up. The Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills 6-0 at home. Patriots are 2-6 on the road. I'm going to roll with Buffalo here. Jacksonville taking on the Raiders. The battle to be the worst. I'm going to roll. Damn. that would suck for them. I'm going to roll with the Raiders. I think the Raiders beat the Jaguars today. You got the Cowboys taking on the Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is 5-2 on the road, where Dallas does not like winning at the Big House. So I'm going to roll with Tampa Bay beating the Dallas Cowboys. And then finally, in regards of NFL, not Dolphins, you have the Saints beating the playing the Green Bay Packers, and I got the Packers there. Now, in terms of Miami, I would not be against that, Scotty. I love that. I would love that option if that would be the case. Will Levis as Tua's backup, I'm down with that. The 49ers at Miami. The 49ers are 6-8. Miami's 6-8. Miami's 4-3 at home, where the San Francisco 49ers are 2-4 on the road. Currently, as we know, these numbers this is throughout the season. This is not the current last 5 games. Throughout the season, the Dolphins are averaging about 20 points a game on offense, and 22 points they're giving up. They have the 19th best offense and the 6th ranked best defense, where San Francisco is giving up is scoring about 22 points a game and giving up 23 points a game. This is throughout the season. They're the 8th best offense and the 3rd best defense. Realistically, though, in the last 5 games, as I brought up earlier, the Niners are averaging 16 points a game, where the Dolphins are averaging about 26 points a game. So we discussed, keys of the game. Miami, again, most importantly, they cannot beat themselves. Tua, the team has to play a clean game. Tua has to play a clean game. He had 4 turnovers last week. Can't happen this week. There's a lot of good players on the 49ers that are not going to be in today's game. Okay, they're down to like their 4th or 5th best running back. Their defense is hurting. Nick Bosa is out. Trent Williams, their offensive tackle, out. Greenlaw is questionable. Miami has to play a clean game. They cannot beat themselves. Do not give the Niners an opportunity to score or have good field position and put easy points on the board. Number 2, defense. Get Miami's offense back on the field. Yeah, I agree 100%. It has to be a big day for Chop Robinson. Okay. And I'm proud of the kid. I have no hate towards him. He's a rookie. He's in a bad situation currently, but he is stepping up. And I'm happy he's learning under Calais Campbell. I'm happy he's learning under Nick Sealer, but he's stepping up. I would love to have a good big game for him. 2 sacks at top. But Miami's defense has to shut down the 49ers offense. They're not going to run a lot. I don't know what Debo's doing. They might try to play some Debo today. I don't know if he's playing or not. But Miami's defense needs to step up and shut down this offense. If they're averaging 16 points a game, they're 1-4 the last 5 games. They're averaging 16 points a game. There's no way they should be over 21 today. That would be a failure if you allow that and lose. Miami's offense, keep their offense off the field. Miami has to kill the clock. Time of possession. leave them off field, because if your defense can't handle the job, it's your job to keep them off and score points. Come off the field with points. Don't leave any points on the field, whether it's 3 points, 7 points, whatever. Do your job. Clean game. No penalties, no INTs. This is a game that a lot of us, even the biggest homers, would have said, damn, the 49ers, dude, that's cause to pause. But the way the Niners have been playing, this is a winnable game for Miami. And that's why my prediction today, it wouldn't be the same if it was if the Niners were healthy and playing the way they should be playing, the same thing with Miami. But I have it 27-16 Miami. I had the Dolphins winning today 27-16. And I probably jinxed it. I'll probably live with a regret later today, but it is what it is. I'm fine with it. But yeah, guys, so before we wrap this up, appreciate everybody tuning in. Scotty and company, what's your prediction for today's game? Your final prediction. We need 30 to win. Ooh, he has a high-scoring game. Scotty has it 34-31 Miami. Richard says, dream on. Dream on. Richard, what's your final prediction? Give it in there, brother. What is your final prediction? I'll leave it on for a little bit here. If Miami wins it, let me take the Colts out for a second. Okay. Okay. Let me take one final look here. Jesus Lazardo traded from the Marlins. The Marlins are dicks. Okay. Sorry. All right. Purday's going to style for Marino today. 34-24 San Francisco DSG label. There you go. So again, I get it. I would say though, the Niners have been struggling really bad. They have not been, averaging only 16 points a game in the last 5 games. They're 1-4. What to me was a dream on situation in regards to Miami winning earlier this year is not so far fetched. But I get it. Mike McDaniel has to call himself a good game, but we'll see what happens, guys. I am so thankful for all of you. You know that we will be on throughout the holiday. Tuesday, earlier, I don't have a time frame yet. Obviously, later tonight we should be doing post game. You'll see for sure. Brett, what's up, brother? What's up, my man? Great to see you, dude. Should be doing post game later. I don't know if Vincenzo will be here or not. So, Brett, if you're watching, maybe you want to pop on post game with me. But I'm sure I'll have all the other guys here, and we'll open up the lines and we'll talk win, lose, or draw. But Tuesday, I'll be on with Fish Tank Hank to do Fins Talk today, a special Christmas Eve episode. And Courtney will have Lisa and Amy on Sagal on Monday to talk Dolphins and Fan of the Year. So there'll be a lot. We got a lot of stuff going on throughout this week and holiday season. So in case I don't get to tell you guys, I'll say it now. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, a happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you all tuning in week in, week out. And in the comments, you guys are as much a part of FTSN as the content creators. And I am completely thankful for you guys. I truly think of you guys as family. So I appreciate you all and hope to see you guys later tonight. Yes, Brett. First off, Brett, awesome, dude. I'll shoot you the link. Would love to have you on after the game. We could go over the post game, man. It's been a while. We'll have the old OG overtime with me and Brett Lagasse. But what's your prediction, brother? You got the 49ers or the Dolphins today? And what's that final score, Brett, if you're still tuning in, my man? We'll get that rolling out here in a second. But, yeah. So, guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for tuning into the Miami Dolphins pregame show here on FTSN. Solo Run. I'm Bobby Finstock. Like, subscribe. Most importantly, guys, Fins up.